Let's have a look at the IELTS Academic Reading Paper. I'm going to give you just a few tips to sort out this reading paper, this academic reading paper. The test is composed of 40 items that are generally divided in 3 reading passages. Therefore, there are 3 reading passages of 13 questions, and 14 questions generally. Each correct item is given 1 mark, and the total amount of mark possible in the reading passage, in the reading paper, is 40. 40 that is translated into the band score of 9. For the reading paper, you are given 60 minutes. The texts are generally taken from books, from journals, from magazines, newspapers and websites, and they range from descriptive and factual to discursive and analytical. Let's have a look at the task types that you may find that you might come across during your reading paper. The reading passages are generally given with different types of questions. These questions might be multiple choice, matching, true, false or not given, yes or no, not given, locating information, completing gaps, or labeling a diagram. In the case of the multiple choice, you're quite familiar with the multiple choice, but in the case of the matching, you're asked to match ideas or opinion to people, places and dates. You are generally asked to match sentence endings. You've got the first part of the sentence, then you've got the ending of the sentence. One of the most common matching exercise is a matching of headings. You will be given the paragraphs. For example, each passage is divided into paragraphs, generally from A to F, from A to H, and then you will have to match the heading with the relevant paragraph. Another very common exercise you can be given, other 2 very common exercises that you can be given are the true, false or not given and the yes or no or not given. I think that you are quite familiar with this exercise in general because you have been doing true, false exercises or yes or no exercises for 8 years, probably also 10 years. In the IELTS test, you are given also the not given option. Generally speaking, what is the difference between a false option and a not given option? In the case of the false, the passage just states the opposite of the statement in question. You are given a statement and the passage states the opposite of the statement you are given. And in this case, it is false. When the statement you are given in the exercise is neither confirmed nor contradicted by the reading passage, you should write not given. Very similarly to yes or no or not given. In the case of the yes, the statement agrees with the statement you are given in the exercises in the question. This statement agrees with the opinion or the idea of the writer in the passage. In the case of no, the statement you are given in the exercise does not agree or explicitly disagrees with the idea or the opinion expressed by the writer in the passage. In the case of the not given, again, this statement is neither confirmed nor contradicted, and it is basically not mentioned. In the locating information, you are generally asked to locate a piece of info in a paragraph. The completing task types vary from completing notes, completing a table, completing a flowchart, completing a summary or a sentence. You will have to generally complete the gaps by choosing words or a word from the text. In some exercises, for example, some of these task types, for example, the completion of the sentence, the completion of the flowchart, you are given a maximum number of words to use in your fill in the gaps. Another type of exercise that you may find is labeling a diagram. You are given a diagram or a machine or a building, and you are asked to label the diagram or the picture with the captions given. When you answer the questions in the reading paper, I think that you should remember 2 points. The first is that the questions and the sentences are in the same order as they appear in the text. That is, the answer to the first question comes before the answer to the second question, and so on. Second point to remember is that any knowledge from outside the passage, any knowledge that you have from outside the passage on the topic of the reading passage shouldn't play a part when deciding your answer to the question. Because the answer to the question specifically refers to the reading passage you are given. So any knowledge outside the passage is not to be taken into account. In the case of the questions and sentences that are in the same order, I would say that sometimes in the completion of the summary they may not come in the order. In fact, the completion of the summary is a kind of different task in which you are given a passage taken from the text to complete. So just in the case of the summary, they may not come in the same order, but generally speaking, they appear in the same, the answer to the question order is the same as the answers appear in the reading text. Now I would like to show you some examples of these task types we have been discussing. For example, on the left you find an example of multiple choice. You have been given four choices from A to D, and in your on your answer sheet you should write 10A or 11C or 12B. On the right you find an example of labeling a diagram. This is not actually a diagram, it's a picture. And you will have to label the picture on the very interesting topic of the dung beetle types by using the words that you are given in the box. These 2 examples are examples of matching. On the left you find an example of matching headings. You are given the sections from A to D and F, and you will have to choose the correct heading for the section A to D and F. You are given 9 headings, and you will have to choose among these 9 headings which best fit, which best matches the passage you are given, the sections of the passage you are given. In the case that I show you on the left, on the right, you have got researchers that you will have to match with the research, with the findings that they have made. On the left you find examples of true, false and not given, with appropriate explanation of what is meant for true, what is meant for false and what is meant for not given. And on the right you're given an example of completing a sentence, filling the gaps in the sentences. In fact, you are given choose no more than 2 words from the text for each answer. In fact, it is important that you complete the gaps by choosing words or a word from the text. In fact, here you are given you're given a maximum of 2 words to complete the gaps. Other 2 examples of completing a task. On the left you find a completion of a flow chart. This is a flow chart which you will have to complete with the words provided in the box on the left. And on the right you find a summary that is taken from part of the reading passage, and you are given a maximum of 1 word to complete this summary. This is the very end, so break a leg for your practice, and cheers.